Hey everybody, I'm Ann Page, and I will be talking to you today about AAC all day. Keep it fun, keep it flexible, and keep it available. I'm not real good with the whole chat thing. I've got Scott is going to kind of watch my back, and if you have any burning questions, then he's going to let me know, and I will also answer questions at the very end too. So super excited to have you here, and I'm really excited to be here. I have a lot of information that I want to share with you. So I am going to hit my screen share and get started with my slideshow, I hope. Oh my gosh. Hold on. There we go. Okay, here we go. So keep it fun, keep it flexible, keep it available, AAC all day in the special needs classroom. I am hoping that you set yourself up for success, that you're comfortable and you're maybe on the couch and you have a nice beverage of choice. And I will be, for the live participants, I'm going to give away a copy of my core vocabulary board that you'll be seeing examples of this in the presentation. And so when you're here at the end, I'm just going to ask Scott to help me out, and we'll randomly pick someone, and then I will email you and send you your copy. So our learning objectives for today are, I want you to be able to create 3 opportunities for AAC communication throughout the day. Because, as you know, that's so important that we can try and get our kids using their communication devices and their core vocabulary throughout the day, and not just when we're there as their SLP. I also want you to be able to identify 3 engaging activities to teach commanding and requesting and commenting with core. And then also you'll be able to explain why using core vocabulary and using aided language stimulation is essential to encourage language learning for our students that are using AAC. So really quickly, who am I? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Ann Page. I am an ASHA certified SLP. I've been working in the school setting for the last 15 years, kind of in the trenches. I work at a Title I school. I am also the author and creator of Beautiful Speech Life, where I share a lot of strategies and tips and therapy ideas. I create products, and I do presentations. I have a particular interest in assistive technology and AAC, and I love working with students that have moderate to severe communication impairments. So I live in Arizona. I love Arizona. Maybe not so much right now, but because it's really hot, and I apologize if you can hear the air conditioning blasting in the background. I live here with my crazy husband, Brad. He is one of the ASU rugby coaches, and I also love learning new things about AAC, and I'm always kind of dabbling in that. So here is my little confession time. I do not know everything there is to know about AAC. Really not even close. I just am sharing with you what I have learned and what I've picked up, and I'm going to share with you some of my mistakes and some of my therapy wins and some of my therapy fails, so that you can apply some of those things to your kiddos and your students and hopefully help them. I've done a lot of therapy fails, which has left me feeling like a bad SLP, but I have learned from those. And that's what we're going to talk about. The thing that has helped me the most in working with the kids is the use of core vocabulary. And be that low tech or high tech. This is an example of 2 low tech boards. The white one is my first board that I put together. It's a big classroom board. The pictures are pretty big. I think they're about a 3-inch square. And I did them on white, and I did them with the board maker symbols. And we used that for a while. And then I tweaked it because I was having a little trouble, and so were the other adults. So I figured the students must be too. We were having trouble remembering where everything was because I didn't like the way it was organized. So I color coded it with the Fitzgerald key, and now it's working much better for us. And also, I love using the core vocabulary with more high tech. This is an example of a student that I have that's using Cough Drop AAC, and she is using, I believe it's one of the core boards that they have. I believe it's Core 120, and she's made some really big gains with this. So, what is core vocabulary? Actually, if some of you in the little chat part, which I cannot see right now, but I think Scott can see it for me. I'm just kind of wondering, like, how many of you are SLPs and how many of you are maybe SPED teachers or parents? If you could kind of let me know, I would be really interested. And I'm sure some of you, or maybe all of you, already know what core vocabulary is, but I'm just going to give you a little definition that it's high frequency reusable words. So it's a small set of simple words that we can use, that we do use frequently and across lots of different contexts. And I think that's one of the most important parts about it. These words make up about 75 to 80% of the words we use every day. So if we can give our students these words, then they're going to have a much better chance to communicate in many different settings and many different situations.
So I don't read that fast, but it looked like about 60 SLPs and about 10 SPED teachers.
Okay, thank you, Scott. DLM core vocabulary is the one that I use, and I have a link for you for that so that you can read about the research. But DLM stands for Dynamic Learning Map, and this is a list of research-based words that have been determined to be highly useful for communicating in both the social and in academic context. So I was particularly interested in that because of the academic feature, because I'm working in the schools. And so anytime we can tie this to their curriculum goals, then that's what I want to do. These are the words that they have. There are 40 of them. And the website is at the bottom here, but I will provide you with a link at the end, so you don't need to worry about copying that. The words are grouped in fours, and they are grouped that way because these were kind of a suggested way to teach the core, words that would go together for really good learning opportunities. I like it because it's not just for labeling, it's for commenting and requesting and commanding and all those other features of language that our kids need. I will tell you that one of the big mistakes that I made when I got started was I was scared, which is not a mistake to be scared. I just was scared because I didn't know that much about it. And so I started off with just labeling, and that's boring for the kids. And we don't talk in labels. We don't talk in nouns. And so by using core, I've been making the kids and I have been making a lot more gains. So how the heck do you get started with core? And is that all you use? Of course it's not. You don't just use core. You're going to naturally use some fringe vocabulary, and fringe vocabulary is that specific vocabulary that we use for activities. So like if it was like during recess, you know, some of the fringe vocabulary would be like swing and slide and monkey bars and stand and all of those things. And we naturally use those. And you can make fringe boards for those, or you can go to like the fringe vocabulary pages on a device. And that kind of naturally happens. And so I really focus on the core part to get started. So here's a couple of ideas for you on how you can get started. I would suggest you get a core vocabulary board for your classroom and your speech room. I like to have them everywhere. And I have one that you can purchase on Teachers Pay Teachers, or there are, if you Google it, you can figure out how to make one on your own. And I'm sure there are other ones out there. You can focus on using core with your kiddos' devices, and remember to keep it simple, because we're working with these kids that have multiple disabilities, and they take longer to process, and so it just takes them longer to learn things. So they're going to need a lot of repetition. So I like to start simple. You always kind of model one step above where they're at, so they get that additional exposure to the other words. And modeling is huge. Like model, model, model. Using the aided language stimulation has been key to making some success with these kids. So here's the big definition from ASHA of what aided language stimulation is, but basically it's just modeling. So you are using the device as you're talking to the child, or you are using the core vocabulary board and pointing to the symbol as you're talking. I'm going to give you a couple examples so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And hopefully this will work. So we're going to see it in action. This is me in a classroom. And I'm the one that's sitting with the little animal box in my hand. And then there's our core vocabulary board in front of us, which I like to keep it portable, because in this group, I've got about 6 kiddos, and they are, or maybe 8, I think there's 8 of them, and they're in a semicircle. We've got the aids all positioned. And then across from me is Miss Ruth, who's amazing. And she and I are going to model. She's going to take the first turn, and we're going to model what we want to happen.
And we have a question.
Yes.
There's a question. Does your big core board print out on several pages so you can cut and assemble it?
Yes, it does. I kind of did it to make it super easy so that you get 4 of the pictures on each page, and then I tell you how to line them up so that you don't have to cut them out individually. You cut them out 4 at a time, and it doesn't take that long to put it together. And then you can laminate the whole board, and if you want, then you can Velcro on the, you can have the background, and then you can Velcro on the symbol on top of it. So thank you for asking. Okay, modeling. I'm gonna go to this YouTube video. Make it big. Okay, so she's doing in. She pointed to it. I pointed to in. We're making it fun. And the kids are laughing, which is awesome. Okay. So that was kind of like the start. We're showing the kiddos what to do. Now here's another one. And I'm showing this one because I wanted to show you, it doesn't have to be perfect, and neither do you. Sometimes the kiddos don't do what you think they're going to do, and that's fine. So he chooses the dog. I get the bone. And he wants that bone. I'm modeling in. Model it again, and he gets it. Yay! He's so adorable. So his little friend thinks that that's so funny, but me making the dog try and eat the bone like that, it scared him. And then I also wanted to point out, did you see how long it took him to manipulate manipulate the bone, and to figure out how to turn it and how to get it into the dog's mouth? It shows like our kids they need that extra processing time. So you have to be super patient, and you have to wait, and you have to give long pauses for response time to give them that processing time that they really need. So here are your essential tools that we're going to talk about, and these are the things that you are going to need to use during the day and get your people on board to use too. The modeling is huge. Using visuals, also huge. Being enthusiastic and, getting the kids involved and excited, huge. Core vocabulary, I already talked about. Getting team support is essential. And then being consistent with your delivery is really important too. So now we're going to talk about going into the classroom. Here's all the SLPs. They're all armored up and ready because it's not easy. It's hard. And why is it so hard? These are the adults that are having the tantrums, right? For the adults that you go in and you've got the aides and you've got the teachers, and they have a hard job. So a lot of times the teachers are already overworked and they feel like they don't have time to learn something new. Some people have like fear of technology. I know I certainly did and sometimes still do, because it's not, it's learning something new. And then, if they have an expensive device, it's like, what if I break it? What if I'm doing it wrong? What if you judge me because you're in their classroom? And so all of those things are going on with the adults. And then you've got the kids, and it's hard for them too. They have short attention spans. A lot of them have vision impairments. They've got sensory needs. They've got physical limitations. They've got longer time for processing. So you've got a lot of stuff going on. But if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So you need to gather the troops and be a team. Start forming some teams. This is like one of my dream teams. These are the aides in one of my functional skills classrooms, and they're just amazing. They are so supportive of the kids, and we work as a really great team. I feel like it's so important to get the aides on your side. And one of the ways that you can do that is to include them in the activity. They're there because they love the kids and they want to help the kids. And if you can make them feel like they're part of it, then they're going to be more likely to want to help. And they are like your best friend for helping with behavior management. Because if you're managing a group, some kids, someone's going to have a meltdown at some time. And, you can't just, it's not best use of your time to stop the whole group, deal with the behavior, and then move on. You've got to have them on board for that. And then having them to be your people that are modeling while you're not there and to help with the carryover. While you're delivering therapy, you are modeling how to model. And this is huge. If you show them and tell them why you're doing it, then they'll get on board. And then they're going to be doing it all day. And then our kids are going to have success. So what I would suggest is, and I know that we don't have extra time. None of us do. We all work really hard and we're all trying to manage time, but I really think that this is worth the investment of the extra time at the beginning of the year. So, meet with the teacher. It doesn't have to be a long meeting, but just start establishing that connection in that team and ask them for support. Tell them, kind of what you're thinking about doing and see how you can support each other. And, talk about the ideas that you want them to implement when you're not in the room, and start small. Like, don't hit them with the whole thing all at once. Go ahead and just start, start with something small. Start with getting a core vocabulary board in the classroom. Another part of that investment of the extra time would be to provide some materials, so for example, provide a core board for them, provide like some words on lanyards, provide some ideas for how to use the speech generating device, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Help them with getting some things set up, continue to model, and then follow through. That it's really important to follow through. So like, you can't just give a vocabulary board and say, here, put this up and use it. Because, maybe that'll happen, but most likely it's not going to. You need to help and follow through, and then ask, like, okay, how come you didn't set this up? And if they didn't have time, be like, oh, maybe I can help you. You know, it's all about creating connections. So for the actual therapy, when you're in the classroom, I think it's so important to keep it fun. So first you've got to get their attention and give it everything you've got. You're going in there and you're like the rock star. You need to be yourself, of course, but you know, be animated. Use your excited voice. It's, you know, that's contagious. Have some hidden items or some surprises, or you know, maybe like a little bag that they can't see into, and be like, you know, do a guessing game of guess what I've got in the bag. Little things like that go a long way. Use your magic wand. Very important. I have a magic wand that I use with my younger ones, and I use that for reinforcement and for getting attention, and just like for kind of bringing them back to me if I need to. That is like one of the best $7 I ever spent, and I bought it on Amazon. Use a visual schedule. Super important, because you know, when they hear us talk, a lot of times they're just hearing wah, 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 kind of like the Charlie Brown teacher. It's not, you know, it's if they're not if they are language delayed, and so a lot of the words they're not going to know, and especially when we're talking in big long sentences. So pair it with some visuals, and then you've got a better chance of getting them to understand what's going on. So using songs to teach. This is me in the classroom, because I'm such a good singer and the kids love to hear me sing, which is so not true. I am a terrible singer, which I let hold me back, but the kids don't care. And they like the songs. It gives them, especially if you add some movement to it, it's a way to get their attention. It's a way to get engagement. It's a way for them to follow directions, and a way for them to participate that's fun and it's natural. So I like to use songs and rhymes, which this first one I'm going to show you, it's not it's not really about AAC, but it is about getting them calm and ready to attend, and then you can get into your, you know, your AAC. So this first one is crisscross applesauce. First, we're going to do it. So, you know, you can hear the little guy kind of laughing in the background and whispering. It just gets them engaged, and they're doing those movements. You're going to make your OT happy because they're crossing the midline. And then eventually they're going to learn those concepts that I'm teaching in that, the fast and the loud, and the slow and the quiet. And just on a little note of how you have to tweak things, when I first started doing that, I had it reversed.
I don't think we heard sound on that one, so you'll have to just tell them what happened.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you guys. It was basically it's the crisscross applesauce song. So I said first we're going to do it fast and loud, and then we go crisscross applesauce, crisscross applesauce, and then I do the stop, and then I say, and next we're going to do it slow and quiet, and then we do that. And so it's like I said, it's a great way for them to learn those concepts. And I used to do it reversed. I used to do the slow and quiet first, and then I did the fast and loud, but that made them kind of hyper. So I thought, oh, I better reverse it around and have the quiet part and the calm part, so that they're ready for the next transition. And honestly, that whispering thing, I know that's not good for your voice, but that really gets their attention. So this next one, I'm hoping you can hear it. Maybe tell me right away if you can't, and I'll just say it while I'm doing it. So this is the open and shut them rhyme, and I use this one to teach open, which is one of the core vocabulary words, and I like to teach it like in many different ways so that they don't just make the one association. So I kind of teach it with like open the jar or open the door, open your eyes. And then this one is going to be for them to open their hands. Can you hear that, Scott?
No.
Okay, so I'm going open and shut them. A little clap. Open. Did you hear her say open? Open. Shut them. Put them in your lap. And then you can see I've got my little open sign there at on the floor. And another way that I've used that too is that I will have the core board right by me or have somebody hold it up and we'll point to the open. But the kids are all doing it, and I'm doing it that slowly because the aides are helping them, and they're helping them get their hands in the right place and opening their hands. Okay, one more. Hopefully you can hear this. This is the hello song, and this is again with the younger ones. So we've already done the part where it goes, hello, how are you? And I do have a YouTube channel that all of these are on that you can go and have a look at. It's just called Beautiful Speech Life. But this one, at the end of it, I use it for name recognition, and we do a fist bump. So I just kind of wanted to show you what that looks like. All right, so we finished the song. So I'm saying, I see Johnny. And Sydney too, boop. I see Ruben. And Johnny too, boop. I see Jonathan, boop. And Mia too, boop. How are you today? And they love that song. And as you can see, you got to hear some of my beautiful singing. I bet you wish you were in my class. Okay, so here's an keep it available idea for like during the day and how you can kind of extend that activity. Think about, with these younger ones, is there a song or a rhyme that the class uses every day? Ask the teacher, and then, if there are some core words in that song or rhyme, there usually are, just pick one or two, and then show them how to just have the board and point to the words while they're singing it or saying the rhyme. And with kiddos that have a speech generating device, show the teacher or the aide how to model with the device during the song so that they can participate and start getting the idea. Does it matter if they get the word at exactly the right time? No, not really. We're getting them to participate across, the whole day. And for the older students, of course, we're not going to want to do the hello song. So then I transition them into the whole brain teaching rules, or you could use something else. I just use this because I like it. It's 5 rules. I've got the visuals for it. And we just recite it. With the younger ones, we clap it out. And then this one I'm going to show you is with a junior high class. And I have one kid that leads, and then I hold up the visuals, and then they repeat them. Again, this is like an attention getter, and just providing some consistency for them, which they really need. Can you guys hear this at all, Scott?
No.
Okay, rule number 1, follow directions quickly. And he's saying it. Rule number 2, and I'm doing the actions, raise your hand, and the kids are going to do it too. Raise your hand for permission to speak. Rule number 3, raise your hand for permission to leave your seat. And then we do the actions with it. For permission to leave your seat. And then we go on with that for the whole 5 rules. And it's pretty cool. Oops, I still have that going. Hold on one second. There we go. And that one's on my YouTube video as well. Oopsie. Hold on one second.
Do you have any suggestions for age-appropriate songs for junior high kids?
For junior high, I like to use that one, and then I have used like I'll pick a popular song, like a radio song that the kids might like, and we've done that with sign language. You just have to make sure that it doesn't have any swear words in it or anything, that their parents wouldn't be mad. But we've done that, and we use that as like a their goodbye song. What did we use? One of the Bruno Mars songs we used a couple years ago. It was really good. And then we ended up, we did it in front of the whole school. That was an awesome experience. But with the, so, you know, with the junior high, just like think of something that they would be interested in. And with this group, oops, sorry, let me put it back in the slideshow. With this group, I did not have a kiddo that was using a device, but one thing that you could do is for sure program in some of those rules so that the student can participate. Like with that group, we will have a student that's using a device next year, so we're going to program that in for him. And another thing that we did, actually there was a little girl that was using a device at the very end of the year, and so I had one of the aides working with her, getting her going on some of the core words. And then we programmed the name of all of her classmates into her device, not with their pictures, of course, because of HIPAA, but just their first name so that she could help with attendance. Another idea would be if the classroom, if they have some class rules, you could program those into the device or find core words that are within the rules. And, you know, if they say the Pledge of Allegiance in their classroom, anything that they do every day, if you can try and get the teacher on board, even just starting with one thing and then build. I like to use like low tech requesting and making choices. This is just like a Go Talk, and I use that. We are doing a little bit of requesting with I want, a little bit of labeling. I have the songs programmed in. I just recorded them, the start of it, and that's kind of a nice it's a way to teach them to make choices, which sometimes is not that easy, and way for them to participate and learn some of the movements. And it's been really good. And, you know, with hands up, you can teach up. Really important to use motivating items to the kids. There's my big jar that I use for a lot of things, like for open and for help. If I'm doing like sabotage, I'll make it so that there's something really cool in there that they want, and then they can't get it, so they have to ask for help, and we model that. And then you know, if they're a little bit more advanced, then we have to say, you know, maybe they could say I want help or help open. I use a lot of little cheap tricks, actually, like wind up toys, light up toys, anything that makes noise. They're a great starting point for teaching core. And, you know, so easily with the wind-up toys, you can do go. And, you know, so you have, this is the most important part. This is why it didn't work for me before. You have the wind-up toy. They don't get to hold it. They don't get to wind it up. For one thing, they'll break it. And for the other more important thing, if they're doing the winding, they don't need to communicate. They've already got what they want. So you're the one that's going to do the winding and make it go. And then if they, and make it so it's out of reach if you can. And then if they do get it, just go ahead and like nicely take it away and say my turn. And then if they want it to go again, then they have to request. They have to say go or won't go or I won't go or more go. And you can get like these little cheap wind-ups everywhere. I like the Fisher Price toys. Like I have a Noah's Ark that I use for, they can kind of open the little door on the bottom and we put the animals in. The fish, like the fishing, magnetic fishing is really good. This fruit one is awesome. And I feel like I can use that with like the 4th and 5th graders because it's not really that babyish. And they love to cut the Velcro. And so, you know, I use that like as a sentence extender, and where they have to say, I want more, or I made the knife one, and I made like the fruit labeling cards too, to get a little vocab in there. So this is something I started this year that I love, work task boxes and AAC. It's functional, it's linked to curriculum, and it's not expensive. So I'm using this with my 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students in the functional needs classroom, and I'm using it in therapy, but what I would like to do is see it transitioned into the classroom as well. So these are just like a cheap plastic box that I bought at the dollar store, and I got some pencils and I got some cool erasers. And what they have to do, I show it to them first, and these are the words I use: open, on, in, help, and finished. So then I demonstrate using the cards pointing to the core vocabulary that first we're going to open the box, and then we're going to take out we've got pencils in one bag and erasers in the other bag, and then we're going to take an eraser and we're going to put it on, and we'll do that with each one. I show them the whole thing. Then we're going to put it in the box. If we need help, we can ask for help. We're going to put the lid on, and then we're going to say we're finished. So this has been really cool, teaching a lot of core, and they feel like they're doing some work, and it's important, and it's functional. This little guy, you can see we've got the core words in front of him, and he has no speech at all, and he only has the use of his right hand, and that is one of our aides is helping him, because he tells her, he hands her the pencil, and then she holds it for him, and he grabs the eraser and puts it on, and he does the whole thing. And it almost makes me cry, because he works so hard at it, and he's so proud of himself when he gets it done. And I'm excited because he's transitioning to, he's been really successfully using the core, and we're going to transition him to cough drop when he gets back to school in August. Here's another one, just sorting the drinking straws by colors. So they have, the straws are all in the box. I have a bag in there for each color, and all they have to do, I do the same thing, go through the same instructions. We're going to open, we're going to put all the orange in, we're going to put all the green in, we're going to put all the yellow in, and we can ask for help, and then we can say finished or not finished, or sometimes I sabotage it and I turn around so I can't hear them, and then they have to say, look, finished. And then, just remembering that we're going to get it started in therapy, but then hopefully this would be a great thing that could be done during the classroom time.
I've got another question. Do you have a recommendation when you have so many different devices and different symbols on what you use with the big core?
I kind of do. I'm still kind of figuring that out, that you can use the big core, and then maybe you could, because rarely do you have kids in the classroom that all have the same device, but maybe you could have print out the core, or take a screenshot of it, or whatever that you have to do to get their core, and then maybe you could attach it to a separate, I'm going to try this next year, attach it to, so say if I was doing Go, and I've got the big Go that we have up in the classroom, and then maybe I could attach their Go in the bottom corner so that they can see that too. That would be one thing that I would try. I know it's tricky, and I'm gonna be looking into that further and doing some research to see if I can give everybody some more support on how to do that. Sorry, I don't have the perfect way to do it yet, but I'm working on it. This one, mini bowling, has been really successful, and it's age appropriate. Even the junior high kids like it, and I just use it. It's really simple. I use it for social engagement. It's easy, it's quick. I've got my hand there, so I block the little pins so they don't fly all over the place. But I like, it's a group activity, and the other students, so one student has the ball, and the other ones, he has to wait until they tell him to go. So then they say go, so he's got to have joint engagement and pay attention. And then when they say go, he gets to go. and then he can, if he wants another turn, he can say want and more. And it's just really simple, but really effective. Sorry, you guys, I'm talking really fast because I'm trying to get everything in. This is a way to maybe like extend utterances again. And this was, I was teaching, I was trying to get up too, because the monkey, it's a motorized toy and the monkey will put the heart up. So this was a sentence that one of the kiddos made. I want more go up. Doesn't have to be perfect grammar. We'll shape that eventually. Another junior high thing would be like working on functional requesting and commenting. So I use this game for them to like pretend order a hamburger and or to like pretend ask for what they want on their nachos. And then next year I really want to do some work task boxes with them that are a little bit more complex, and so and to use some sabotage so that they have to tell you when they need another item. So for example, say if I would want to make them even more functional as they get older. And so say I was having them put together like little picnic bags. So they have like a Ziploc bag and they've got to put in a plastic fork and a plastic spoon and maybe like a salt and a pepper. And then they have to make 6 of them. And then I would intentionally not put in enough forks maybe, or enough of one item, so that they have to notice that there's something wrong and they have to get my attention and they have to ask for help. These are some other ideas for keeping it available. In the junior high, I was thinking about like during recess, if you can get the 8s to wear the lanyards, or if, you know, even if your kiddo is fortunate enough to be able to take his device outside, you can use it like in group activities. And we did some food activities this year with the junior high, just making real simple snacks. And then you can use a lot of these core words during those type of activities. Remember, it's just baby steps. It's going to take a lot of time and it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be progress. I like to have mini core boards strategically placed. So this is like the same as the big one, but it's an 8.5 by 11 version that I laminated. And you can put that, like, think of the places where you could put it in the classroom, maybe on the inside of the classroom door at kid eye level. And because then you can have the aides kind of, while they're lined up and waiting, they could be talking and modeling, saying, oh, you know, it's time to go out, or let's open the door, or you need to wait. You know, like all of those different things that they're going to say anyway, they might as well model while they're doing it. You could have it in centers, you could have it on tables, send one home for the parents. This is one that I made, and these are some of like the first core words that we had worked with in one of my groups. And so I thought, well, let's make a board of that. We'll put that up on the door. We'll put all the cards, then you can just cut it out and hole punch and put them on a ring, and then we'll put it on a lanyard. And then the aides can wear the lanyards, which they did because they're so amazing. And then they've got those words available there transitioning or when they're out on the playground. So, you know, like I was saying, here's some of the examples. Time to go, open the door, door open, want to go, stop. For students that have devices, something to consider is, you know, because we don't want the devices just sitting in their backpacks or gathering dust in their cubbies, that, you know, look at getting a carrying strap. If they have one, let's use it. If you're afraid that, or if the aides are afraid that the kiddo is going to drop it or throw it, then find, maybe they can carry it for them. Work to get wheelchair mounts for the devices, and talk to the team and brainstorm, like, how can we get this device with this kiddo to the classroom, or how can we get, or to the lunchroom, or to like when they go to music, or wherever we, you know, ultimately we want their words going everywhere with them. I know that it's tricky and we don't want to break things, but there are ways around it, and we just have to kind of work as a team to make that happen. Another part about keeping it available that's really important is to have a backup for when the device is forgotten. So, you know, make that screenshot of the main page, so at least you've got something. And if you can, have an extra charger, because how many times have we gone there, we're ready to go, and the device isn't charged, and because they left the charger at home. So if you can get an extra charger, that would be great. I know sometimes you can't, but just something to think about. And then, talk with your team and have someone, an adult, ultimately the child if you can, but if you can't, then have an adult be the person that's responsible to get the device out of the backpack so that the kid can use it during the day. This part, people ask me this sometimes. It's like when the device is new and the kiddo just wants to play with it. Of course they do. They need to explore it. So, try to schedule some time in their day when they can do that. And if they're doing it, while, like, say they're doing it while the teacher's trying to talk and they're just hitting the same button over and over again, then give them a natural consequence and, talk to the teachers about that. If the kiddo was using their voice and saying more, what would you do? Right? You would ask them to be quiet. And then if they didn't, then you would do like whatever the next step is, maybe a timeout or whatever that is. Just because it's a device, it's still them talking. Okay, we talked about this one. And this is my goal for next year too, is to try and get some of the cafeteria staff on board, possibly get them to wear a lanyard or, agree that it would, that the kid could use his device to say hello or goodbye or to make a comment. The more people that we can get on board and the more communication opportunities we can get for them, the more progress they're going to make. Oh my gosh, sorry you guys, I talked so fast, but I did it. So your key takeaways, I would think, would be like, start small, think of ways to build your team and to get other people on board, because you can't do it by yourself. We need that team for the kids. Be flexible. Sometimes things aren't going to work. Keep things fun so that you get the engagement. Give the kids give them processing time. Super important. I want to say you're amazing. I think all people that work with special needs kids are amazing, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making a difference for these kids every day. I was going to do the goodbye song, but my audio is not really working on that, so I don't think I'll do that. And quickly, I want to show you, I have this for you. It's a core vocabulary in the classroom cheat sheet and quick resource guide. I've got some links on there, and some of the things that I talked about, and some links to some really good articles to kind of get you started in a non-overwhelming way. This is where you get it. It's at, and this is case sensitive, it's at http://bit.ly/core2win. When you get this, then you'll be on my notification list for some upcoming courses, because I'm working on one right now that is going to go a lot more into detail and give like actual activity list and center ideas for the classroom. And that is it. So I think I have like 2 minutes that we can do for questions. Am I back? Let's see, where do I go? Are you there, Scott? I'm going to stop.
I am, but so we're actually out of time.
Okay, people can email me if they have questions that I didn't get to.
Yeah, and if you want to go back through the Slack channel, there's a bunch of great questions in there. And you can answer them one at a time.
Okay, I'll do that for sure.
Also, and a lot of them have actually been answering each other's questions with your links. It's pretty impressive.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
But, we want to thank you for participating. When we first reached out to you, we thought we'd have a couple hundred people joining our conference, and there's over 3,000 people. So we're pretty happy. So
awesome.
So everybody, we want to thank Anne for participating. We're going to put the link to her survey so that you can get your certificates of attendance in the track. And like I said, we'll also, I don't know, Ann, if you have that on a PDF or whatever, but if you do, if you want to send that to us, we can put that presentation also in the track so we can have that the same slides and things too.
Okay,
so
awesome.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for your time. And I'll later on I'll go through and do the draw for the free core vocabulary board, and we'll get that to you.
Perfect.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.